All right, we are live again. Craig LeBlanc with the Daily Parks and Rec Show with Marlon Sams, who quite an interesting story. Thank you again for coming on, Marlon.
Thank you.
Um, he was the park director to city manager, which is quite a common career path for a lot of people in Parks and Rec. They get recruited by the city to run the city because they've done such a good job with Parks and Rec. Also, two-time president of KRPS, and then also a common career path after retirement, using that word loosely. One of the good vendors picked him up to basically rep their stuff to his former colleagues. So, welcome to the show, Marlon. How's your week been going?
Week's been going great. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah,
Enjoying
fantastic.
enjoying what you're doing with the parks and recreations.
Yeah, we're trying to be this to build this media company, and I don't just mean me in a podcast. I mean we're going to have 20 to 30 artists that are making content and becoming giving Parks and Rec a larger online presence and voice, so that we can raise awareness to the great work y'all are doing. Um, Stay tuned. We have a video we're going to show halfway between our interview here, and it's just for college kids, or actually high school kids, juniors and seniors, to be able to consider Parks and Rec as a degree. I've been told that Parks and Rec is kind of what they call a discovery major. You
Yeah, a
heard that
lot of
term
people.
before?
Yes, especially here in Kentucky, we've got three major colleges that have recreation degrees, but a lot of people will go to college and say, "Hey, I didn't even know you had this to offer."
Mm.
So, actually, a young man from my area who wants to be a minister but got to EKU and could not decide what he wanted to do besides being in ministry. And he called me and said, I didn't even know that they had this up here. And now he's graduating this May with a parks degree on top of ministry.
Yeah, and it really is. If you want to make a difference in your community, if you want to invest locally, if you want to stay local, a lot of degrees they require you to leave your hometown, leave your family, and move clear across the country where the job is. There is a job in Parks and Rec in every city in America, and they need all sorts of talent, not just at the director level, but in accounting, in planning, in working with youth sports, with aquatics, with I mean, you name it. And these are college degrees, good local paying jobs with great benefits, and talk about making an awesome impact, and leave a legacy. I mean, y'all pretty much for a living work on building things that last 100 years,
Yes,
so
we
that the
do.
community can enjoy it.
No.
So
And in
it's
today's time, everything's changed, and you're going from it used to be football, baseball, and basketball. Now it's archery. It's what is it with the kids playing on the Xboxes and stuff? You've got everything. Some parks programs have those where people come in and do the Xbox tournaments and all that.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Oh
lacrosse.
yeah.
We've been asking at Corbin to do lacrosse right as I was going out of Parks and Recreation. Kind of fell through, but you know that's a different sport altogether.
Yeah. And Parks and Rec departments, many of them run a farmer's market. So if you're
Yes.
big into growing, having farm to table, being a part of your community, a lot of the Parks and Recreation departments host in their facilities and even help run a farmer's market where the local farmers can come bring everything they have. And then you've got this pop up marketplace once a week or twice a week. That's also in Parks and Rec.
Yes. Yeah,
Um,
Parks and Recs departments usually serve a multi-purpose with everything in a city,
mhm.
location of their buildings and different things like that, and then participate with your tourism departments, your downtown departments that do things during the year, your county fairs and your city fairs. They're all
Mhm.
involved.
Yeah, not just special events. That's been one of my questions that I ask leading up to the interview, like we're doing right now, is tell me about your special events. And some cities they have 2 or 3 special events a year, 4 special events like a Christmas parade or an Easter. But I'm blown away by how many cities literally have something every single week. Some
Yes.
cultural day for this group of people, some parade, some face painting thing, some fair, some. And it's just they're just running all the cultural events out of the parks department, in addition to everything else we just mentioned. That's just like an add-on.
Yeah.
Did you have a
City
lot of special events in your
Corbin does over the years. We partnered with tourism a couple years and did farmers market, as you said, and then we ended up doing a couple of years of bringing in portable ice skating rinks downtown, which was a great big event happening. And then the city of Corbin does a yearly Nearbrock, which is Corbin spelled backwards, city fair that we have downtown and bring in concerts and different everything. So we participate and partner with them in that. So, and we have a farmer's market during the seasons every Friday. They've ended up downtown building a local farmer's market facility, which is great. It brings in all people.
I love farmers market. I'm at least one or two a week. It's where I get all of my produce, eggs,
Yes.
meat, honey, you name it, milk.
Speaking of eggs, you better buy you some chickens and start raising them.
Yeah, I heard. Well, I asked my guys at the farmers market. I buy my eggs from the same guy I buy my beef from. He's a it's his cows. He doesn't use antibiotics, any hormones, and grass fed, grass finished. I love his meat. It's like Superman meat. But he
Yes.
also has a pile of chickens. So he's always got, I think, 40 dozen eggs. He shows up every week, and I usually pick up one.
Yeah.
But they're really good. You know, you've got a good egg when you can almost break your pan trying to crack the shell because it's so thick.
Yep.
That's a sign of a healthy chicken. We
have a friend at church that raises them, and every Sunday I buy a dozen from him.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Like you, we do a friend of another person in our church that has raises grain fed, or not grain fed, but natural Angus, and we go with him too on the meats.
It's a huge difference. I mean, red meat's like a superfood. I learned that actually when I did the Bitcoin Daily show, and I'm just there to learn about Bitcoin, even though I'm running the show. I'm actually the student running the classroom. So go figure that one. But I was shocked at how many Bitcoiners were all like carnivores, big into health and diet and fitness. And that's where I actually learned about farmers market. And it's amazing, you know, the kind of stuff that you learn from these online communities. I'm learning so much just about parks in general and the history of the park systems and what it all encompasses. It's actually quite a complex job. I actually don't know how y'all do it. It seems like all the other departments are very, you know, like the fire department, you don't see them doing farmers markets. Police department, they're
Parks
not like
are multi-purpose one-stop shop a lot of times, and you usually do it with a very limited staff. I know when I started out as parks director, I had myself and one maintenance man, and we built it up from there. We were actually a Parks and Recreation Commission, and I finally kept going. We were part of the city, but they wouldn't fund me, and I kept saying, you know, for us to be able to do better programs and do sufficient things and improve our fields and everything, you've got to make me a full-time department. And they finally got tired of hearing me and made it a full-time department of the city. So we ended up with about 3 or 4 more people instead of 2. And
now was that your original job? Like right out of high school, did you go into college and you got into Parks and Rec that way? But maybe take it back to your original.
I participated in Corbin's recreation events for years. It was small time, and then, you know, your baseball, your football, your basketball, local stuff. And then I graduated from Corbin, went to school for about a year and a half, college-wise, and didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. Came back to Corbin, ended up getting married after 45 years as of this June.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We looked at it, and I'd always been very interested in the city of Corbin because I noticed a lot of people stayed for a long time working there. And I put in an application actually for recreation director. Didn't get it the first time, but they said, would you be interested in code enforcement? So I thought, okay, get my foot in the door. Eventually, that gentleman will retire from recreation, and he did. And I put in for it and luckily got it. And did 3 years of code enforcement, actually helped start the recycling in the city of Corbin, me and another gentleman that worked for Public Works. So I was doing both of those jobs, and then the recreation came available, and I jumped at it because, like I said, I participated, went to the city pool every day after working for my dad for a long time at a restaurant. You know, the recreation department area was the place for kids to hang out during the summer and go and do things and meet each other.
Yeah.
And started there with recreation and enjoyed it so much.
Now, you said you grew up working in a restaurant that your family owned?
Yeah, my dad was had a restaurant, the old time restaurants, a drive-in type place, and me and one of my other brothers, a year younger than me, were the designated dishwashers, starting at the ages of 8 and 9, and went up and finally graduated to cooks when we were
Nice.
15 or 16. But yeah, my dad ran it with a lot of his sisters. He was the baby of like 12 kids, and his sisters helped him. So it was a family run. Enjoyed it. Learned a lot from my dad. He actually he's seen McDonald's and everything else coming to our area, and he said, I've got to do something else. So he went into insurance. He was actually in his restaurant, being a pastor, running the restaurant, selling insurance all at the same time. So,
what an awesome dad that was. Yeah. He was just getting it.
He's getting it. And still selling insurance. Him and one of my other brothers are still in it together. He begged us all to do it. I'm the oldest of 5 boys, and I said, no, thank you, because I can't be tied down to sitting down in an office all day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
well, you went the opposite direction.
Yes.
So got into Parks and Rec. How long did it take you to kind of work up to director after you kind of entered? Or how old were you when you started Parks and Rec, and then how long till you got director?
I was probably around 46, 47, and then got there and did that. Interviewed for the job. They hired me right on the spot and said, okay, you are the next Parks and Recreation director. What are you going to do, and how are you going to do things, and what programs you're going to do, how are you going to improve the ball facilities, the fields. And at that time, it was, like I said, me and one other guy, the maintenance guy. So we just jumped in and started learning stuff. The mayor, who is now the city manager in Corbin, called me one day and said, I've got this grant here. We need to look at something. And I said, well, our city pool facility is ancient. It was built in the 1950s. And he said, come down here. And I got the application. It was a land and water grant. And he said, fill this out. And I took it back. The deadline was 2 days later. And I said, oh, goodness. So luckily, we have an area development Cumberland Valley ad here in Corbin, and they help you fill out grants. We filled it out and actually got a liner for the pool after 2 years being there. So that was a major accomplishment.
Wow.
So it was the old concrete block type pool coming in, getting ready to fall in. And the liner lasted almost 16 years, and we just put one in about 3 years ago, a new one.
Wow. And so that was the little local community pool when you had? That was
you cut out on me there. I'm sorry.
That was the only pool y'all had for the community?
That was city pool. Yes, it was a city pool, municipal pool. They've been there, like I said, built early 50s. Ancient. We just actually took our ARPA money while I was city manager and applied that to it, spent it, and did a $3.1 million investment in our new city pool, which is unbelievable now.
Now, were you always involved in the local state association, KRPS?
I have been in Parks and Recreation for about 4 or 5 years, and they had a part-time director. He came in, visited with me, brought me the little KRPS satchel and bag, and said, hey, we have a conference every year. We've got a networking with people all over the state on different things they do for our Parks and Recreation directors and for the Park and Recreation employees. And I went about the next year to it. First conference was in Lexington, met some people, and started kind of snowballing from there. I'd call them and say, hey, what's going on here? How do you do this? And I learned a lot from a lot of those directors who have went on and retired completely now. So Kentucky Recreation Park Society it's an awesome networking system. You don't reinvent the wheel. I say you just cheat a little bit and say, hey, how'd you do this program? every Parks and Recreation department in the state of Kentucky does something different, but it's basically, the same setup for this program or that program. You can be doing kayaking one day, you can be doing volleyball one day, little league football, just a variety of different things. But don't reinvent the wheel, just still a little bit. That's what I always say.
Yeah, that's right. I'm trying to remember which artists. Let me just Google it.
Okay.
Good artists. The quote is, good artists create, great artists steal. I think it was good artists copy, great artists steal
Yes.
by Pablo Picasso.
Yeah, I've heard that
And
before.
and the whole point is that, like in Parks and Rec, people don't mind you picking up where they left off because they're only going to use this I guess plan in their own city. They're not going to use it twice or so there's there, and you're not really a competition to them. So if they can give
No.
you their plan and then you can improve upon it, and then this is constantly happening where you might have it might be handed down. You're the fourth person and you add a little bit to it and you keep handing it down. And so these plans of how to build a farmer's market or how to build a master plan or how to run a 5K or a Christmas parade, are floating around. All these directors have a lot of this and they're willing to collaborate and share everything they have so that not only are you not having to reinvent the wheel, you're picking up where they left off, but then you're adding, whatever modern thing or a little bit improvement on it. And all of this is, you find this at these state associations. These are local cities that are your neighbors. So it's a huge resource for any director that hasn't gone to these. You're really missing out, and you're probably costing your city a lot of undue time and effort that really the work's done. You can just pick it up and work on execution, not the creation of the plan.
Yeah,
Is
that
that
was one of the things that when I went to it, I actually got in there and, I was a small company, so I could only send myself for small parks department. And got in there and started, learning stuff from different people and going to the sessions and learning stuff, how to do things. And then going into the vendor hall and seeing for the first time all the different stuff that you can do for Parks and Recreation that was set up. I tell this story a lot. My first big thing besides the swimming pool was setting up disc golf. I kept going into the vendor hall and hearing cling, cling, and the guy had a disc up there in a little portable net, people hitting it. And went over, talked to him, and actually ended up very reasonable priced program that you can do. And we put a 9-hole course in at one of our baseball facilities. And met the gentleman. He came in, said, I'll see you in about 3 or 4 hours. He went up in the area we wanted to do it. Had a lot of trees in it, different things. Called me about 5 o'clock that afternoon. Said, come on up. And he'd marked it out, flagged it, set up a 9-hole disc golf course, and it just hit. It turned it into 36 holes now in the way it is. Yearly tournaments go on there every year. People come. It's on a website. People come and play in that tournament. So it's crazy. Just things you can learn by going to these conferences.
Yeah, and you see what directors are doing. Directors come from all different backgrounds, and so it seems like a director typically have some flavor of something. They may have come from a place that has tons of special events, and so when they're assigned to a city that maybe doesn't have a lot of special events, this is one thing they bring to that department. And so directors can often create a whole new ecosystem, a whole new cultural event, and they bring this to their communities. And then before you know it, you've got some cities never had a Christmas parade, and now they're on their 10th Christmas parade, and it's like part of the identity of the city, all because of some park director that did it in a previous location.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing what you can do now.
Oh yeah, it's really the sky's the limit. It's whatever you want to do. It's what kind of community do you want to help build, and then a lot of the community itself has its good ideas. If you just reach out to the community, there's some things that they want to do that you get to assist them with.
Yes, we did several surveys over the years. I was in the parks, and I I'd always listen to everybody because, they get ideas too, just like going to the conferences and meeting with your other fellow Parks and Recreation director. The city people had a great idea of some things to do. We ended up creating a creek walk here in town. That was one of the things, a lot of input from our city and from our city commissioners. Building a new playground. Our playground was antedated. It was old. It was dangerous. And got the community and the Rotary Club and a couple other people to help us. We applied for grants, got one of the Tony Hawk Foundation grants, small $1,000, but it helped and it started, kicked off for us. And that was from citizen input. A lot of the kids were no place to skate, and the police would run them off downtown, main streets, city streets, and myself and a couple of the ladies I worked with at City Hall came in and said, hey, let's get a forming committee. These kids need to, they're recreation kids too. Now those kids that were, when we built this skate park facility, are now bringing their kids over there and skating.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing I love about Parks and Rec is it's really, you're building out of yourself. These park departments, usually when you get them, they've been around for 100 years.
Yes.
You're going to serve your 10, 20, 30-year piece, and then you're going to hand it off to somebody. And so these are multi-generational, and you've seen, grandparents and even great-grandparents playing on the same park, and then you've got your great-grandkids there. So I love that multi-generational community piece. That's part of Parks and Rec.
I'll go to a Little League game or a football game, and I coach some of them kids, and now they're coaching their kids. I know how old I'm getting now.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I hear coach, in the grocery store, and some man will walk up to me and say, hey, coach. And I'm like, this guy's like, he looks like he's my age, but I remember coaching him when he was little.
Oh, yes. Crazy.
All right. So tell us about, your, not just your attendance of the state association, but then you decided that you wanted to help lead. What kind of prompted that? And then tell us about how, because you were a 2-time president of the state association.
Yeah, I was at a time when the KRPS was going good when I first started, and then it ran into some problems. And I kind of, as I told you earlier, I got recruited by 4 ladies that were very involved in KRPS, and we started meeting and doing some things. We hired actual executive director for a little while. He helped us. He had some former experience with the Red Cross, and he knew how to do some fundraising and do some networking, and he got us built back up. And then we started, like I said, going to the conferences, and then the ladies that kind of pushed me said, you need to get more involved. You need to run for office. And I became president in 2015. And then your president does a year time. And before you know it, that year is over with. You try to do some things. And I ran again. I didn't run again. I kind of was volunteered again to do it in 2023, I think. And I said then, we have bylaw reviews each year or every other year. And I kept pushing because I'd talked to a lot of the former presidents of the association, and, a year is just not time to do anything. And I was a proponent, pushed it several times, said my piece, didn't get voted in, but last year was our first time of going with a 2-year term for our presidents, because it gives you a lot more time to get things done. But KRPS has been great to me. You're a family first. That's what I love about it so much. And then you get to network with people, and then you meet the vendors and you network with them. And now I'm in the vendor row, so it's kind of reversed a little bit as a playground salesman. So it's just an interesting cycle. But I like what you said earlier. We've got to, instead of going and getting college as kids, you've got to show the interest now. And I think that's beginning to happen a little bit in some areas of Kentucky, where they're going to the schools when they do college day or career day. And parks and recreation departments are going now. Because everybody uses your parks and recreation departments. I don't care if you're city or county, in some form, some way. They use your field, they use your indoor basketball court, they use your pool facility, so.
Yeah. Well, and here's a push that we're making at the Daily Parks and Rec Show. We think we found a good need that we can fill for the industry in general is you've got great colleges that offer great Parks and Rec focused degrees that are now closing and are no longer offering these degrees because of lack of students inside of them. Yet so many people filled a classroom for some other non-Parks and Rec degree, but then ended up in Parks and Recreation. So here you have a career path that's usually not discovered till after school or right in the middle of school, where you've got maybe 3-4 semesters under your belt in pre-med, and now you realize you don't want to be in pre-med, and then you discover Parks and Recreation, hopefully before you graduate, and can kind of shift and pivot a little bit. But you would hope that, or at least our goal is to help raise awareness to get Parks and Recreation out of this discovery degree category. We want it to be like a purposely sought out degree. And then they can say, just like a pre-law student would say, well, if I'm going to go into law, which schools have the best college for law? And so imagine high school kids seeing the same thing, saying, here are my 5 colleges, but these 3 over here have great Parks and Rec degrees. And then that's going to help boost those programs. You'll be better prepared coming out of school to be able to serve that industry if you're educated in it. And so we discovered I'll give all the credit to the director of Auburn, which is where the Alabama Parks and Rec State Association was just a few weeks ago. She's like, Craig, we employ, usually the Parks and Rec department is the largest employer of high school kids for that community, for lifeguards and camp counselors and, umpires,
yeah,
coaches. And so we came up with this idea that we're going to create a 60-second to 120-second promo for the industry that they can play during orientation during summer camp, because you'll go from 20 full-time staffers to 150 staffers, which are these high school kids that are helping run your summer events. And during the time that they're training, getting ready, you press play, and then you can maybe plant those seeds so that they can, hey, I can consider this as a Parks and Recreation career path in college, which we're at the halfway mark. We can maybe take a little water break, and I'll play this one. This is actually a longer one. This one's 2 minutes and 29 seconds. It was one of the better ones that I thought. And so I'd love, for those of you listening, I'd love some feedback on these. We're going to start putting them everywhere. But this is our first iteration. So what I've learned about entrepreneurship is that you get your first one out there and you get a tight feedback loop between you and the people that are consuming it, whether it's the high school kids. So if there's any high school kids out there, I'd love to get y'all's feedback on this as well, if this was helpful to you. And these videos will be uploaded to YouTube. So if any park department wants to grab them and play them, I'm not copywriting these things at all. Y'all are welcome to use them at your will. It's at your disposal. Feel free to play this to any of your camp workers that are in high school. Hopefully it helps them to consider Parks and Rec as a degree. Anything to add to that before I press play?
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I think it's, and I think before long, we're going to have quite a little stable of videos that we can use, that the entire Parks and Rec industry can use. And I'll say anything that we produce, if we produce any content specific for Parks and Recreation from our growing group of artists that work full time for the Daily Parks and Rec Show, any park department is free to use them. I founded the Daily Parks and Rec Show. I own it wholehearted and completely. So when I say you can use this stuff, you can use it without any fear of me coming after you legally because you didn't get my permission. I'm giving you my permission. Our whole purpose is to help Parks and Recreation. So I'll press play. Let me know what you think, and then we'll finish our interview with Marlon.
Your career, your community, your legacy. Welcome to the Daily Parks and Recreation Show. Today, We're diving into one of the most rewarding and impactful career paths out there, parks and recreation. Are you unsure about your career path? Don't worry, we've all been there. But here's a thought. What if you could build a career that combines your love for the outdoors, creativity, and community impact? Did you know colleges like Indiana University, NC State, and Texas A&M offer parks and recreation degree programs? These courses prepare you for exciting careers, from urban park design to event planning and even environmental conservation. Careers in parks and recreation are as diverse as they are impactful. You could become a park manager, ensuring green spaces are accessible and beautiful, a recreation coordinator, organizing community events and sports leagues, an urban planner, designing parks that bring neighborhoods together, or even an environmental specialist, protecting natural resources for future generations. Parks and recreation isn't just a career, it's a way to create lasting change. Whether it's through managing a local park or leading a conservation project, you're making a real difference. And here's the best part. Parks and recreation is for everyone. Whether you love planning, designing, leading, or conserving, there's a role for you in this exciting field. Choosing parks and recreation means choosing a career full of purpose, passion, and possibilities. And you don't have to have all the answers right now. Just take that first step. Ready to get started? Explore programs at universities like Michigan State, Clemson, or the University of Utah. Discover the career that's waiting for you. Are you passionate about the outdoors? Curious about a career that makes a real impact? Or maybe you just love learning how parks and recreation bring communities together? Then it's time to subscribe and follow the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
Well, that was our one of our commercials for the career path. What did you think?
I love it because it covered everything, you know.
Yeah, it really did cover. I thought they did a great job for their first stab at it. I can't wait to see.
We just need to get you EKU, which is Eastern Kentucky University, and Western Kentucky University on there.
That's it. And I want to get some. I want to get some live footage and get some college kids that are currently enrolled. So, again, if you're a college kid or you know one that's enrolled in a Parks and Rec degree currently in a college, say you're a student sitting in a classroom in a college right now, I'd love to have you on the show. You or a couple of, we can do like a panel just to kind of go over what class is like, what are they teaching, and then also if you're a professor that teaches. And we have a few that are going to come on the show. We just haven't, they're in the pipeline somewhere. So they'll get here.
Yeah, I was going to suggest Dr. James McChesney, John McChesney, I'm sorry. EKU is the Dean of Parks and Recreation.
Really?
Yeah, I will get you in contact with him because.
What's his? I've actually got a part of a spreadsheet over here that anytime I type a name in here, we have some magicians that work for us full time that go find them and get them in touch with me and get them on the show eventually. What's that name again?
John Jon McChesney, McChesney, and he's similar to what Cameron's grandfather was at Western Kentucky. Cameron Levis, you spoke to a while back.
What university?
Eastern Kentucky University. I'll send you all his information later.
Yeah. So y'all just got to go back into the kitchen a little bit and see how we cook over here at the Daily Parks and Rec Show. How we built it. It's literally just
you're stealing from somebody else. There you go.
That's it. Eastern Kentucky. Yes. All right. So you have a common career path among directors where you end up serving as a park and rec director, and then you move into city manager. And you did both for quite a while. It was what you said, 14 years as a director, and then what did I hear you right? 12
for 15 years, and I was city manager for 12 years.
Yeah. So what? Let's talk about the transition. How did it happen? If you always considered it, did they just kind of rope you into it? And then what was it like? What's the differences?
I've been involved with the as through the parks director, you were part of one of the city departments, and we met once a month and went in and spoke with the city manager and kind of had some sessions to say, hey, here's what we need, here's what we're doing, working with the budget, trying to get things. And I wasn't disgruntled, but I was kind of upset that we just go in there and it was a talk session. It wasn't what I felt like, and I wasn't the only department head at that time. So I said, if the opportunity ever comes, I want to be more open door, listen to people, because I took suggestions from so many people on how to run the parks. And I said, if that ever comes open, I'm going to put in for it. Well, I put in for it. Didn't get it the first time, but my mayor at the time called me and said, you did great on the interview. Some of us wanted you. Some of us felt like it's the way to go, the difference. He said, hold on just for a little while, because I don't think the one we hired is going to make it. And about 3 months later, they called me and said, are you still interested? And I was down there in about 5 minutes, said, tell me where I need to go and what I need to do and when to start. And I did it the way, kind of like I did the park system. I worked with some great people for years and years, and all the department heads. We worked together on every event. And, I just went in, I was more open, wanted to listen to them, which with budgets, you're restrained on what you can and can't do. But I'd had experience with doing grants. If a grant come across on the computer, I tried it. And that was pretty well how I got things going in the parks department. But I just wanted to, direct and kind of oversee. Didn't want to be a micromanager. I would not micromanage, and that's how we were before I took the job. And let the department heads do their job, come to me when they needed to, come to me or the mayor and commissioners, and sit down and work it together. And I think, that's a good way to do your park system too. As I said earlier, be open, listen to everyone, take their advice. Some advice is good, some's not, and see what makes your department run. And that's kind of how I did it with the city.
Now, what are the common departments? Obviously, you've got police, fire.
What am police, fire, public works, recreation, downtown managers now. A lot of those will be coming into the cities. We took on an arena that was built here in Corbin. It was run by a management company for a while, and then we have a 7,000 seat arena here in Corbin that can do tractor pulls one night and 13th region basketball the next night, or have major concerts. Corbin, Kentucky, our arena director, was very good. She had some previous experience and was actually from here, but had worked with several groups. When you can get Snoop Dogg to come to Corbin, Kentucky, you're doing good.
That's it.
That's it. I told her, I said, you've reached your pinnacle. But
from tractor pulls to Snoop Dogg,
yeah,
and everything in between.
Absolutely.
Tell us what a tractor pull is for those. I mean, we've all seen them kind of stuff, but what's it like to run one, attend one?
I'd seen them early on because I had an uncle that lived in Tennessee and they did them, but it's just a big heavy weight on the back of a tractor, and these are jacked up, souped up tractors that can move. And the idea is to pull them as far as you can in a certain time. And whoever does it the longest, pulls it the longest way, wins.
Yeah.
But it's, it's just, that's the thing. The recreation department, all departments of the city are sometimes short-staffed, and we'd go up there, help them when they needed parking or maintenance or anything. So,
yeah. And that's a good, so what do you think is, if you had to advise someone considering it, what are going to be the big differences that, let's say you enjoy Parks and Rec director, what would you say to prepare somebody for that shift if they're considering it? Maybe the pros and the cons.
For Parks and Recreation Department director?
Yeah, well, no, for Parks and Rec, considering to maybe move to city manager, that maybe something you wish somebody would have kind of warned you a little or told you about, giving you a heads up to better prepare you for that shift.
The main thing would be to be open, listen, take all the budgetary courses you can take, because you go from running your department to overseeing a lot of other departments. Our budget went almost to $14 million. For Corbin's a small town of about 1,700, but we serve we're in a tri-county area of three counties, and we serve over 42,000 people in our area. We have the most major retail, the most major industry in our area. So definitely learned to be a good budgeter, which I had great guidance and help with my staff at City Hall, and we did things, we'd cut strings a little bit, but you still want to be open and listen to all your department heads, because the needs for police and fire are so expensive now. A ladder truck is going to run you $4 or $5 million. Police vehicles are not cheap. Their equipment's not cheap. Public Works, you've got all kinds of different things there that they have to have, from garbage trucks to pickup trucks to leaf blowers, mulchers, so. But
now, is there, I noticed you kind of stay involved in the, KRPS, even when you were city manager. Is that correct?
Yes. Luckily, my mayor at the time served on the Kentucky League of Cities, which is a place that represents cities. And as me being on KRPS, I was serving as the representative for them with the Kentucky League of Cities. So when I came into that job, he said, let's just stay on, and they did. And I'm still serving on that. So kind of a liaison for legislative issues. We've had several issues in the last few years dealing with recreation departments. So it gives us an insight to be at the table to see what's going on and meet with our legislators. And over the years, we did a few luncheons at Frankfort, our capital, and met with the legislators. KRPS did, and did luncheon for them. So just, you got to be involved in all aspects. As a recreation department person, you need to know what the laws are. Several years ago, there was it's called the Virginia Graham-Baker Act, which was on drain issues with the pool. One of the senator's granddaughter or somebody had drowned because they got sucked into a drain. So, things like that you have to learn. And then we had some issues with this past couple years ago on the splash pads that are being built in several cities and counties of the state of Kentucky. And the old legislative laws were saying you had to have a crane hook, a flotation device at a water park. Well, that don't make no sense because it's on concrete. We were requiring backboards, and I said, okay. I actually went and representing Kentucky League of Cities and KRPS and testified. I said, so you're saying that a backboard, we need a mom and another kid putting some kid on there that maybe fell or something like that, or we need the shepherd's hook. I mean, there's no reason to do that. And they wanted each park, splash pad park, to have a telephone, and so to dial 911. Well, every kid and every parent has a phone now. So working with KLC and KRPS, we got that law changed a little bit. So that helped a whole lot. And, that was part of my job. And Terry, our executive director, we went to battle and said, we need to change this. It's so inundated. Splash pads and pools are total different beasts altogether.
Yeah. Now I imagine a lot of good work is done by these state associations at the legislative level. This is the body that, tries to influence positively towards Parks and Recreation, making sure that favorable laws are passed, or at least that don't, like you said, that hurt Parks and Rec, passing laws that are maybe unnecessary without the input of, people like yourself coming in and giving real boots on the ground information. Then you might end up with a law that's taking a lot of taxpayer dollars and funding stuff that's just unnecessary. And that is a big chunk. At least I've heard it's like a third of the work, maybe a quarter of the work that the state associations do is that legislative component. Would you agree with that, at least in Kentucky, or what's the workload that y'all guys did?
I would agree with that. I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really important, because a lot of times the legislators, if they don't imagine them passing laws that affect Parks and Rec without the input of the people of Parks and Recreation. So I would say you have some type of obligation as a person in Parks and Rec to make sure you're participating in the laws that influence and affect from the state level. And the state associations is where you would do that. So if you're looking to get involved or impact some of that legislation, or maybe even help to pass certain laws, then that's the place to do it. It's going to involve the state level association. They're doing a lot of that work.
Oh, they are. Keeping informed and knowing. A big thing I always tell them in each department, or anybody that asks me, find out who your senators are, find out who your representatives are. Kentucky's in session right now, started yesterday. Will be a 30-day session, a very short session, but they'll run thousands of bills through there that might have a little caveat in there that says a park department or a recreation department or city or something cannot do this in your recreation department. You don't want to read every bill, but you learn how to read, scan them real fast, and they post them every day. And that's a good thing. A couple of years ago, again, we had an issue with pools, and just luckily Terry had caught that, and I did too. In a meeting, they were saying, they wanted to change some things and require so many lifeguards for so many square foot of your pool, and you're lucky to hire the right amount of lifeguards because the cost of training a lifeguard now has went up. And, so luckily we kind of qualmed that a little bit and got it shut down and redone. So, but being a park director, you need to be involved in politics, not necessarily deep down in the politics, but know what's going on in your state legislation.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times when people think politics, they're thinking, left, right, Democrat, Republican, a lot of these hot issues that divide the country and stuff. But really in Parks and Rec, it's just about the state and the local taxes are collected, and everyone is in there fighting for their project to be funded. And if Parks and Recreation just is a silent voice that's never heard, then your parks just don't get funding. If people aren't saying, hey, we could do this as an option, and we can seek funding. And there's all types of grants and federal funding and state funding and that kind of stuff. This is where a lot of projects that we get their funding. So there's a lot of projects that a grant will pay for, will double the amount of money. They'll match whatever you can raise up to a certain amount. So I've heard of a lot of grants that say, we'll give you $1 million, but you got to go raise $1 million, and then they'll match it. Yeah. And so that's how you're able to get some of these big, sports complexes and whatever else the city wants.
Yeah, that's the thing. You just raise the money and get it, 50% will matching, city will come up with this amount. So it's just different things. Yeah.
Now let's talk a little bit about your transition into working for one of the vendors, and then tell us a little bit about that and what you do. And then you can even give a little pitch about if you want playground equipment, you can reach out to Marlon and he can help you out. But so which company are you with?
I work for Miracle Playgrounds, Miracle of Kentucky and Tennessee Playgrounds.
Okay.
We do playground equipment, entities or amenities, different things, dog parks. We can do anything there. But I got to know the son of the owner through him being a vendor for several years at our conferences, and we became good friends. And then got to meet his mom, who is the owner, and my wife and her got a real good relationship going. And we all just, more, like I said, going back to, you get to know these people, you consider them family and everything. And Tammy, I mentioned I probably was going to retire in a couple of years, and she kept saying, well, won't you come to work? And long story short, I ended up coming and working for them, do it from my house, and then I'll go out and travel. So I cover part of Eastern Kentucky and part of East Tennessee, and love it. It's just, I'm a people person. I like to be out and about. I don't like to sit in the office all day long. So, and I knew a lot of these people that they're selling to. So it's been a great fit.
And Miracle's one of those nationwide brands that has a representative in every state, and you would be the one for Kentucky.
Well, they are. I cover Eastern Kentucky and Eastern Tennessee, and they cover Western Kentucky and Western Tennessee. But and they're a family-owned business, and that's what I like about them too. Great relationship, working with their staff and their people. Her son and her daughter both are working for her now, and then her husband does a lot of the installing all over the area for us. So it's a great group of people.
Now you can buy Miracle Playground. That's nationwide, right?
Yes.
That's one of the, now what, is there anything that makes them stand out, or what is kind of the warranty on that? Or, you know, if you're
I
looking
think the
for,
warranty's good, and just the salesman people that represent them, their quality of product is very good. And they range in variety from, like I said, from selling the turfing that goes into your playgrounds, or the mulch, or the extravagant swing sets and playgrounds that you see all over.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
first seen them years ago when I attended a League of Cities conference. Didn't really know who they were then, and it was in Owensboro, Kentucky. And their company and them had built the first $1 million playground ever in the state of Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And to see that product and see the layout, and that's the good thing about them. They help you with the layout. We'll help you with the design. Very easy. We'll go meet with you and sit down and say, hey, how do you want to do it? And we'll put it on a computer and show them how that they want it. And we work with the companies, we work with the cities and the counties that say, you know, here's what we can do and help you.
Yeah. And now, so what's your, what's it like? How long have you been doing the, with the playground company with Miracle?
I retired from the city of Corbin in April and went to work about the next week.
Wow.
And, you know, yeah.
That was quick.
But I can work from home, and like I said, I can go out, and if I need to visit, a lot of it's people calling you, or they'll get references at their home office, and then they'll send it out, say, hey, you need to go visit this person, or you need to go check this out. So,
yeah. Well, that's good. So if anybody that's in Kentucky, or you said Western Kentucky, or I can't recall.
Anywhere in Kentucky or Tennessee.
Okay.
Just call miraclekentuckytennessee.com and go on there, and then our sales flyers on there, our catalogs on there, and you can pick what you want.
Fantastic. All right. So I have a few questions for you. I kind of do these. I'm starting to do these kind of at the end of the interviews, but it's kind of like book recommendation, hero, that kind of stuff. So do you have any book recommendations, either leadership books or one you read now, or anything that's kind of meant a lot to you over the years?
I'll be honest with you, I'm not a book reader. I'll read articles, but I'm not a book reader. My wife says, you never read anything. Now, the only book I'll really read is my Bible. I do read it.
That's a pretty good one, though.
It's a good one. That's a good one. But I'm just not a big book reader. Never have been.
Yeah, I actually, I read books, but I also do audiobooks because I can drive and listen a lot.
Yeah.
How about heroes? Anyone?
My dad's my hero.
Fantastic.
I've always been able to go to him, seek advice. Not sometimes want to hear what he says, but always been my hero.
So what's been the best advice that you've gotten?
Do what's right. Always. He's always trying to do what's right.
All right. Worst advice?
From my dad, or from me, or
from anybody?
Don't listen to social media.
There you go. That's it. Do you have a favorite quote by any chance?
Oh, yes. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. Coach Jim Valvano. That's been my mainstay for a long time.
Yeah, that's a good one. You know, persistence is key. I think persistence can overcome just about any shortcoming. Whatever you're short of, persistence will make up the difference.
That is so very true. Very true.
I can't tell you how many people stop just short of victory. It's like they are right there and they just throw in the towel, not realizing that they were that close.
And if you're going to be a parks director, you can't give up. You just got to be persistent.
Yeah. Yeah. And really the human spirit is so resilient. If you are just consistent, you're going to be shocked at how much you can endure, how much adversity you can overcome, how much you have in you to just keep pushing, keep going. I think people, for the most part, underestimate their ability to just accomplish big things. If they give themselves enough time, you can do so much. You know, start thinking in 5 years and even decades, and man, you can do so much in 5 to 10 years. People are trying to be all this in like 90 days. I'm like,
yeah, you can't do that.
Can't do that.
No,
it takes time. One thing you could change about the world, or even the world of Parks and Rec, what would that be?
More funding, more funding, more funding.
Yeah, that's what they need. They've got some good projects if they can
Yes.
just go for it. Um, Fantastic. Well, anything else any message you have for college kids or high school kids considering to be Parks and Rec? What message would you have for them?
I'd say go out and check it out. You know, you might not be what you're thinking about at the time, but go check it out and see what it's all about. Like I said, it's you don't know it's out there till you go to the colleges and see the programs. As I was saying about someone I go to church with earlier, he called me and said, "Hey, I had no idea they offer these degrees." So that's the main thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Well, look, Marlon, I appreciate you coming on the show, and thank you for coming on the show, one of our live shows. Kentucky was our first state association that welcomed us to launch the
Yeah.
Daily Parks and Rec show. So that was our launching event. I had a few of these where I'm just figuring out how the mic works kind of thing. But for that event that we had at y'all's convention, by the way, that was a gorgeous location that y'all picked. I guess those are state parks. Were they
Those
built
are
by the
state
federal
parks.
government?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got to have one of the most gorgeous state parks, I think, systems in
Yeah.
the United States.
They're spread out all over the state, and they are nice. Some of them are older, but some of them it's nice. It's just the location's what you get. The view at Lake Barkley, you can't beat it. It's just beautiful over there.
Yeah, well, it is gorgeous if you can attend those. And I'm hoping that I can see people at the NRPA coming up in Orlando, and appreciate all the love and support that we're getting from everyone. But really wanted to thank you, Marlon, for coming on, and I'd like to maybe have you on maybe in another 3 to 6 months, kind of check in, kind of see how things are going.
Just give me a call. We thank you for getting parks and recreation departments out there. You know, I'm sure statewide and nationwide now. We've never had this opportunity before.
Yeah, we're we're doing our best to try to create this thing as we go, but we got some talented content creators that have just come online just a few weeks ago. So we have a social media manager, a couple of videographers. We have somebody in charge of distribution of content. Of course, you've got me, and then we've got Nate helping with production. So we're growing a team. I'm hoping we get to at least a 10-man team by the end of the year and do something special. And then we want to start attending maybe 10 or 12 in-person events like we did at the Kentucky event. So I'm actually attending Mississippi, just attended Alabama. I attended Louisiana, and now we're doing Mississippi next week. So we'll be airing live from the Mississippi State Convention in Natchez, Louisiana, which you haven't been to Natchez. It's like the Airbnb capital of Mississippi, I think. Gorgeous little picturesque city. So I can't wait to go there. But all right. Well, let me know if we can do anything for you in the meantime. And please watch give me your feedback on these videos that we're making. I'll go ahead and close it out. But it was good seeing you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Right. Take care.
Bye.
All right. That was Marlon Sams. He was one of the first leaders inside of Kentucky that I was able to meet with. He was very helpful, helping us understand just what Parks and Rec was from that goes on in Kentucky. Terry is the executive director over there. She has been so supportive of what we're doing at the Daily Parks and Rec show. So appreciate all the people at Kentucky. There really is a great group of people. Talk about a true family reunion when they meet. It's like they've known each other forever, and they really have a good time, both their educational part, but then their social component. And then Terry just picks the great locations. I mean, they have these state parks that are just phenomenal and gorgeous. So loved everything that was going on in Kentucky. Next week, and then shout out to Alabama. Natalie, thank you so much for hosting us. Thank you to Auburn for being our host city for the Alabama Parks and Rec convention. That was last week, and had 14 interviews. They should all be on our YouTube channel under Alabama ARPA, Alabama Recreation and Parks and Recreation. It's ARPA, Alabama Recs. Oh my gosh, my mind is just going crazy with that one. But anyway, those should all be on a specific playlist. And I think that's how we're going to organize the YouTube channel is if we attend your state association, we're going to make a playlist for all the videos captured there. And if some of them happen to also speak well, say for sports, because we had a lot of good people that came on the show that were specifically for youth sports. We had the Atlanta Braves with Brave Country come on there. They spoke. And so we'll probably have something geared more towards youth athletics that would also have a playlist there. And so next week we will be starting Monday, I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll be in Natchez, Mississippi for the Mississippi State Convention. We will try to do about a dozen of these this year. Got 2 already under our belt. So we are on pace. And then I'm in the works to also do this in Orlando at NRPA. And hopefully by then we will have a much larger and growing community, both online, and then we are really staffing up with some really talented artists that are creating these videos for the Parks and Rec departments to use for high school kids that are working with you during the summer. You can show this to them during their orientation, and hopefully you can help plant a seed in this high school person's mind that maybe they should go to college pursuing a Parks and Recreation degree. And so we also have a playlist of these on YouTube. Like I said before, if you're a director, you find any video useful that we create, you're welcome to use it. It's not copyrighted for anything. We are creating this entire media company, this entire channel is to benefit Parks and Recreation, to benefit the industry, to benefit the directors, all the stakeholders of Parks and Recreation. And that being said, if there's anything we can do to improve the message, either to the high school kids or anything else that we produce, we love and live off the feedback. I can tell you so many things that you're seeing us create around came off the back of feedback from the community. So please keep that feedback coming. Really appreciate the love and support that everyone's been giving us to just keep going. And as Marlon said, just don't quit, keep going, and you will succeed. So that's our commitment to y'all is we are not going to quit. We're going to keep staying true to who we are, which is a group of content creators, group of artists that have chosen Parks and Recreation as our community that we're going to create for. And many of us have Parks and Rec backgrounds. So this has been an industry that's near and dear to our hearts. And we love serving an industry that's served us so well. And I can't think of many people in America that haven't had many, many meaningful life experiences in parks. And so this is a way for us to kind of give back. So how can you support the work we're doing in Parks and Recreation? So many of you know, see that little right there, LED light. I used to manufacture those, and I still have several clients that buy these from me. We've sold thousands of these all over the country. And so if you have a park that needs a good LED light to hand to your local craftsman or an on-staff electrician, these are very simple, long-lasting, 100,000-hour lights. They last longer than most of us will last. These are 25, 30-year life expectancy lights. It's everything we sell those for. That's kind of like our Girl Scout cookie. So anytime we sell one of those, we plow it right into the daily Parks and Rec show to just grow this community, to grow our list of artists. But here's another great way you can support us. If you need us to create a video for you, please consider working with us, because we now have a lot of the artists and staff to do this, because we're currently doing it for the Daily Parks and Rec show. So if you have a special event, a Christmas parade, a 4th of July, farmers market, whatever, we would love to create a video for y'all. And then all the money that we get from that goes directly into building out the Daily Parks and Rec show. So it's kind of like, for those of you that like Girl Scout cookies, that's not a cookie company, but they sell $800 million a year worth of Girl Scout cookies. And then they take all that money and they give it to little girls, and they're able to participate in the Girl Scouts. And so in a very similar vein of thought, we use the LED light sales, and we use the anything you can do to employ our stable of artists and social media managers. So if you need your social media managed, we can help you with that. If you need a little video created, we can help you with that. I think this is the way I'd like to support this channel. Now, I do have a couple of really good vendors that I've met that want to sponsor the show. And so we're in talks with a few. And so I'll probably let a few, 2 or 3, maybe title sponsors to help support, because they're doing good work. We want to support them. And then they're able to help fund a lot of the staff that we want to bring on board to the Daily Parks and Rec show. So I appreciate all the ideas, all the funding ideas. I've been funding this myself personally, just as a passion project. But I think, long term, if I really want this to have a big impact and to grow, we want to start having well thought out funding strategies for the Daily Parks and Rec show, so that we can make awesome content and employ really talented artists to represent this community and this industry. So looking forward to working and creating something special for everybody. I'm going to go ahead and close with one of the videos that one of our very talented video content creators made for the industry. And so let me know what you think, and then give us some feedback. This is Craig LeBlanc with the Daily Parks and Rec show, airing weekdays, 12 noon Eastern, every weekday. I missed a couple of days in the back trying to recoup from 13, 14 interviews in Alabama, and we're getting ready to have the same thing in Mississippi. So I apologize for missing yesterday. But again, love all the support y'all are giving me. Y'all have a great day, and we will see y'all again here tomorrow. Thank y'all.
Welcome to the Daily Parks and Rec show. As Craig LeBlanc from the Daily Parks and Recreation show says, parks and recreation aren't just spaces, they're the soul of our communities. Across America, parks provide more than just a scenic escape. They're places where people connect, stay active, and create lasting memories. Parks promote physical health with trails, sports fields, and playgrounds, while boosting mental well-being through the calming effects of nature. Recreation programs bring communities together, offering everything from fitness classes to cultural events. And as Craig often highlights, parks also play a key role in protecting the environment and driving local economies by attracting visitors and increasing property values. Whether it's a family picnic, a weekend hike, or simply enjoying the outdoors, parks and recreation are where life happens. Want to dive deeper into the stories behind America's parks? Tune in to the Daily Parks and Recreation show with Craig LeBlanc for inspiring insights, tips, and updates about the spaces that bring us all together.